All right, welcome to Bet the Edge. I'm Jay Croucher here with Drew Dinsick. It is Country Club Wednesday. We're going to talk golf ball today. We'll close out with a little tennis chat and a little NBA tip for tonight's Warriors-Lakers game from myself. We'll get to that at the end. But now let's bring in Brad Thomas. And straight away, let's get into talking about the PGA Championship and then the Byron Nelson. Let's look back on the Wells Fargo, though, Brad. Jordan Spieth missed the cut. He's out this week at the Byron Nelson. Do you think that he's going to play next week at the PGA Championship?
Yeah, I'd imagine he's going to at least give it a shot, right? He's taking some time off. He was playing such great golf until last week, and you kind of had to imagine that something was ailing him, right? You just don't go from playing great golf to losing, 3.7 strokes on approach. He's going to try it out on Monday and Tuesday from what I heard, and if everything is a go, I think even if he's going to be like 65%, he's going to give it a shot. Missing a major is something you don't want to do, especially as a guy who maybe his clock is winding down for absolute elite golf. He wants to play as many majors as possible. So I think he gives it a go.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I got to tell you, this is more evidence in the kind of category of they are putting these PGA Tour players through an absolute grind early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to continue to open the door for live major drama. I got to tell you, just the amount of golf these guys are playing and the fact that they're picking up these injuries is not a good sign. Speaking of not a good sign, McIlroy really hasn't shown us much since he, completely no-showed at the Masters. Missed the cut at the Players and the Masters. Wow. What are we thinking about his kind of state of his game as he heads into a PGA Championship as one of kind of in the mix for the co-favorites, which doesn't really feel right.
Man, Rory's tough because in golf, you want to bet on guys who are strong mentally. The hardest aspect to master in the game is your mental ability. And he came out publicly and said that he took a mental break. Well, if you play a course like Oak Hill, for those who don't know, when they have it set up for their members, they have it long and penal, but the rough is playable. The superintendent there he's already said it's going to be penal and penal, which means it's going to be longer and the rough is going to be more thick. While Rory is the longest driver on tour by average, he's only hitting fairways at 50%. So if his mental game's not right, I could see him totally being checked out. The problem with that, I don't want to go and fade Rory in head-to-heads because all it takes is one good driving week and he's top 5 at worst. But from a outright perspective, I'd imagine I need to see his price drop closer to 14 for me to think there's even any remotely value on betting on him.
Yeah, let's stick around at the top of the board. Jon Rahm is the favorite next week, coming off an incredible stretch to start the season. Scotty Scheffler is the second favorite, and then Rory is third. Those three have kind of solidified themselves, I guess, as the tier one in golf. Are you buying Jon Rahm as the favorite over Scheffler, Brad?
Man, so when I was looking up these numbers in my prep, I was really trying to find a definitive measurable that really made me want to pick Rahm or Scotty. I'm going to play them both and probably just single those two guys as my two horses. When you look at their numbers, 1 and 2 in strokes game total, 1 and 2 in strokes game per round, 1 and 5 in birdie average. We can go to driving accuracy, 1 and 4, or 5 and 4, excuse me. They're so close. I need to see how Scotty plays this week, though. Scotty was going to play this event ultimately probably because he's a Texan. He wanted to do this for the Byron Nelson Foundation. But if he goes out there and he cannot putt, he loses 4 strokes on the putting surface, I would consider not playing him and just taking Rahm. Rahm's playing outside of his mind. There's no golfer hotter than him right now. And the crazy thing about Rahm, he could have a subpar round. But then the next round, he's going to go low. That's why he's number 1 in birdies per round, birdie averages per tournament, because he can have that one round that can absolutely save a tournament, just like he had at the Mexico Open, where he didn't look like he was in contention. He just tried to go out there and set a course record.
Yeah, I think Rahm is probably the highest ceiling golfer we've seen since peak Tiger Woods. And it's kind of being priced like that, where kind of getting back to the point where Rahm a couple of years ago was going off for tournaments at plus 500, plus 600, and he's not far off that at the moment. All right, before we get to the Byron Nelson, a reminder to download the RotoWorld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster, get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in the App Store today. All right, well, Scotty Scheffler is playing this week at the Byron Nelson. Not many others are. We've got the great Seamus Power as the 9th favorite at this event, which is not something you typically see. Scheffler is plus 350 to win a golf tournament, which is an incredible price, Brad. How do you think he'll treat this, and any interest in plus 350?
No interest at plus 350, although I do think this could set up like the Mexico Open, where number 1 and number 2 in the field are duking it out just because of the way it's set up. But the reason I'm not interested in plus 350 is not because he's not a great golfer. It's because I am afraid of his putter. This course will set up as a putting contest, and Scotty Scheffler, when he's not rolling the rock, it is awful. And so you're telling me you're getting 3 to 1, 3.5 to 1 on a guy who could go out there and putt terribly the week before a major. I don't think he's going to use it as a tune-up, but it's hard mentally when you're just not playing well or something's not clicking to say, I'm going to give this my all. I'm really going to grind out this tournament for a really good result because I love the people of Dallas, Texas. No, he's going to say, well, I need to work on something in my game, but I don't want to fatigue myself before the major, the second major of the year. It's way more important next week. So no interest in betting him at 3 to 5.
Okay. Good note. We'll pass. If you have somebody at the top of the board this aggressively priced and you're willing to pass, that should open up opportunities for kind of that second tier middle class. Anyone really pop Tyrrell Hatton 12 to 1, Adam Scott 30 to 1? Are these guys, kind of showing you enough form to get involved, or do you have somebody else in mind?
I am betting Tyrrell Hatton. I think it's disgusting to bet him at 12 to 1, but I play a lot of one and done, and I saved him for this week. When I saw that he played so well last week, quietly, I was so excited. And why I'm saving him for this week is because his biggest issue is when he's playing poorly or he has those blow up holes, it's because he's hitting his ball wayward or he's playing at a course that has overly penal rough. And this week, the rough is going to be, the fairway's wide and the rough is going to be cut down short. In my primary model, Tyrrell Hatton is number 1. And why is that? Because he's great off the tee. He hits it long, hits it straight. He's number 3 on approach. He's 10th in putting, and he's 4th in birdies or better game. This is going to be a birdie fest. I don't really want to bet on Adam Scott in a birdie fest, even though his number is way better. It's not like I'm looking at Tyrrell Hatton and Adam Scott and they have the same skill set, but Adam Scott's double the price. I just think they're two different golfers playing good golf. I prefer Tyrrell Hatton at this course.
Okay, Tyrrell Hatton 12 to 1 to win it all, plus 150 to finish in the top 10. Further down the board, Brad, anyone else you've circled? My man Jason Day, 16 to 1. Anyone else?
I am not betting Jason Day. I think I got Jason Day betting fatigue. Like, he was great to bet on when he was like 40 to 1, 38 to 1, but I'm tired of doing that. Like, I'm exhausted. I actually like Tom Kim and Taylor Montgomery. And what's so great about this is going to be a birdie fest. It's an easy course. So I had these numbers pooled of golfers who perform best at birdie or easy courses. Taylor Montgomery, number 1, Tom Kim, number 2. And what's even better about that is they're two different golfers and they do it totally different ways. Tom Kim's top 5 in strokes gained approach. He hits a lot of greens in regulation, but more importantly, it's how he hit these. These are going to be massive greens, right? So you need to hit it on the right shelf, the right part of the green to give yourself a good putt. Tom Kim's not a great putter, but he's going to hit the ball so well on these greens. It's going to put him in an advantageous position to make birdies. Well, Taylor Montgomery, he's not the strongest guy on approach, but he is the best putter in the field. If this turns into a putting contest, I think he can ball out. And, I think some of that pressure's kind of gone off on him. He started the season where he had all this pressure to be great. That kind of happens with new guys where they're going to be the hottest golfer. It doesn't happen like that. You don't go from the KFT and just start winning tournaments automatically. Like that very seldom happens. And I think his back-to-back miscuts, he miscuts at RBC and Wells Fargo, will let him breathe a little bit. Just go out there and play a course that's set up really nicely for him.
Yep, this is going to be Tom Kim's league soon, Brad.
Yes.
Much like Tim Duncan once said to LeBron James, this is going to be your league soon, waiting for that simile to transpire between Jon Rahm and Tom Kim. But for the meantime, Brad, can you tell people what you're working on and what content you've got going on this week?
Yeah, so we will have our outrights article for the Byron Nelson out this week. And to be honest, I will be focusing very heavily on content for the PGA Championship starting Thursday through the next Friday, next Saturday. So you can find that on my Twitter page at Mr. Brad Thomas or the NBCSportsEdge.com website.
Okay, awesome. You're the man, Brad. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. All right, before we get to some tennis, it's been a while. Looking forward to this, Drew. A reminder that there is really no off-season in the NFL. Now that the draft is in the rear view, it's time to get ready for the upcoming season. Tune into Peacock, the NFL Network, or NFL Plus tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and prepare to circle your favorite matchups and weeks this fall as the NFL reveals its 2023 schedule. We'll also dedicate our entire Bet the Edge show Friday to NFL futures following the release of every team's regular season slate. I have a couple early awards bets, Drew, that I won't get into now, but we will jump into Friday. We talked a little bit about it yesterday with Ken, but a couple others that I've got circled. One in particular that I really like.
What's beautiful is that before people behind the scenes, we asked Ken, you done any work? He's like, not really. It's early. And then between talking about that yesterday, and then I caught some of his show yesterday, he went into everything. So we've lit the fire of awards betting, and it's going to be fun to get into all that.
It's right around the corner. So 4 months away. Time flies. Time flies when you're watching tennis, which is going to carry us through to the NFL season. Let's talk ATP Rome. Carlos Alcaraz, who was looking a bit shaky 2-3 months ago, coming off the injury. Now he's just back to being, he's not even back. Like, seems like the best version of Alcaraz we've seen. He's plus 125 to win in Rome, and Djokovic is plus 300. And then the young crew of Sinner and Rune follow. What do you make of the outright ball?
Yeah, so we're at the 3/4 pole, right, of the clay swing as we are rounding into Rome and come down the home stretch with the French Open. Obviously, puts an exclamation point on the clay swing, and it's been entertaining. But the key, and as you mentioned, Alcaraz has been awesome. Like he's been winning. He's been dominant. However, I had a higher grade on him last year's cycle than I have this year's cycle. And it's not necessarily because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. It's just that the level of competition he's been doing it against has been much lower. Last year, we saw him win Madrid, and on the way, he took out Nadal and Djokovic, both the guys when they were in somewhat form. And that matters. Like, he hasn't really had to go head to head against, the true legends of the game to this point on the clay swing. So there are still some questions. And we saw the outright pool completely flipped on its head, by the way. Djokovic coming out of Australia, coming out of, the winter portion of the calendar, he was the favorite. As we weren't really sure what kind of physical status Rafa Nadal was in for Roland Garros. Djokovic took on the top choice, and Alcaraz was a big question mark with his injury. And since then, that has completely flipped because the question marks injury-wise now are all circling around Mr. Novak Djokovic. He's only played 4 tennis matches so far this year on clay, Jay, and they've been pretty uninspiring tennis matches. He barely gets by a fringe top 200 player in Ivan Gakov in Monte Carlo before getting thoroughly defeated by Lorenzo Musetti, and then he goes to Banja Luka, which is of course in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and narrowly defeats a fringe 100 player in Luka Van Asch, and then just gets his clock cleaned by Dusan Lajovic. That's 4 pretty not top tier competition there, and he has not looked great. And what you should know about Djokovic is that he takes a little bit of time to warm up into kind of peak form. He doesn't just kind of show up and flip the switch and just dominate tournaments. That's not how it goes. So I agree with the market drifting, and this is probably his most important tournament of the this portion of the calendar, because if he doesn't make a little bit of run here, if he doesn't get some court time, if he doesn't adapt to the conditions, he's not going to have much of a success opportunities at Roland Garros. And I would say the conditions here at Rome are the slowest of all of the major tournaments in the run-up. Okay. That generally favors the players who are true clay court specialists. But it favors Djokovic. Djokovic has been dominant here in the past. He's won multiple titles at Rome, and some of them basically uncontested. He was so good. And if he kind of gets to that level over the balance of this tournament, then I would expect that he's going to be the bet at Roland Garros over Alcaraz. Because Alcaraz, he's coming into Roland Garros with, he's got a title now. Like, he's done it, but he still has yet to show me that he really has mastered best of 5. And overall, the men's tennis, like the top right now, there's not a huge gap between Alcaraz and that next crew of guys, including your guy, Jannik Sinner. But all of these guys are dealing with, some injuries in some form. Djokovic himself, it's an elbow. Don't love tennis elbow rumors, but he's been bluffing in the past about his physical status. So I'll believe it when I see it that he really does have a limiting injury with his elbow. But Sinner is absolutely in the mix for Roland Garros. Holger Rune is in the mix for Roland Garros. And then you can't really rule out Stefanos Tsitsipas or Medvedev, even though neither guy has really shown peak form this cycle. So I think it's going to be a really interesting tournament. But the key to watch is if you're seeing Djokovic produce at the level of Rome runs past, and that means he's kind of just had it all this whole time and he's just hasn't been showing us, then he's going to be the bet for Roland Garros, and I think it's going to be a pretty decent opportunity to make a decent wager on him. So that's really the key that we're watching here is trying to nail the French Open market.
Yeah. Okay, well, 2 things. One, Jannik Sinner is not my man. He's my anti-man. I'm very, very low on Jannik Sinner. He's cost me a lot of money over the journey, Jannik. Never forgive him for that quarterfinal against Alcaraz in New York, where he had a match point on his serve and just completely bottled it. Looked like a terrified man on the court. Never forgive you for that, Jannik. I had you doubled into Aaron Judge at 100-1 MVP.
Oh,
and,
no.
Did not come home, but that's okay. And Djokovic also. Djokovic is not my man either because he burned me in a big wager at the French last year where I was really expecting him to take care of Nadal, and he did not show up. Did not show up for a Grand Slam. I believe it was a semi. Yeah, didn't show up for that one. Thanks for that, Novak. You want to talk about Don Fabio Fognini and Andy Murray? Match up. Andy Murray -220 favorite. Fabio is plus 170. Who do you like here?
Oh gosh, what a match today! So this is the last portion of the card for this Wednesday, and Fognini and Andy Murray. This is a classic matchup. These two players first played each other, Jay, in 2007. This is a long rivalry. Before your time. 2007, Fognini and Andy Murray. They've now played each other 8 times. This is going to be the tilt number 9, and you know what? This is the rubber match because they are 4-4 lifetime, and realistically, both men at the kind of tail end of their careers here. So this could be the last time we see these two players play. Fognini produces really, really watchable tennis. Like, if you don't really care for tennis one way or the other because you find it boring, watch a Fognini match because he brings the drama in absolute spades. It's either going to be colossally exciting or it's going to be just watch this guy utterly melt down on the court. So this is must-watch tennis if you didn't already know that. Andy Murray is a grinder. He's going to try to make this match as long as possible and wear Fognini down, and he probably will win. So I agree with the favoritism status at -220. I took 2 positions on this match, though. I'm looking for Fognini to win set 1. I bet that at plus 135. I think Andy Murray is going to take some time to warm up to these conditions. He's coming off of a challenger title, a rare clay title for Andy Murray, his 3rd challenger title on clay just last week in Aix-en-Provence. You could probably pronounce that best.
Aix-en-Provence.
Aix-en-Provence?
Yeah, I randomly spent like 3 weeks there once.
Aix-en-Provence? Beautiful. What do you think? Beautiful? Beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful little town. Yeah, very good. Very high on.
Yeah, rose country, GSM country. Yeah,
I'm much higher on Aix-en-Provence than I am on Jannik Sinner, but I digress. Continue.
Well, Andy Murray coming off a title in Aix-en-Provence, right into Rome, right into the fire. I think he's going to take a little time to warm up, so I like Fognini to win the first set at plus 135, and I played over 2.5 sets at plus 140. So I think this goes the distance. I think Andy Murray likely wins 2-1. I don't mind sprinkling a little Andy Murray 2-1. That's kind of a fun price as well. But this is going to be must-watch tennis. And if you haven't already gotten to see Rome, like the pomp and circumstance there with the statues and the trees, it's all unbelievable. Like, it's absolutely quintessential, beautiful Mediterranean conditions and much, well worth watching. So enjoy this one with the nightcap in Rome. Fognini bring home the first set, and then I don't care what happens after that.
Yeah, I like it. Don Fabio played an incredible match a couple months ago, I want to say, against Alcaraz in Rio.
Oh, in Rio, yeah.
Riveting. An absolutely riveting
Yes.
match of tennis.
Yes.
So yeah,
he's must watch. When he's going up against the legends of the game, like, it's must watch.
Yeah, he's a good value, Don Fabio. Speaking of good value, at least I hope it's good value. My bet for tonight, Warriors-Lakers, Game 5, Stephen Curry, alternate assists over. So Curry in Game 4, at the start of the third quarter, Curry had 8 assists, and his live over-under assist total was like 10.5. And it was like plus 110 the over. And so I bet on that. And sorry, he had... Yeah, and then he basically covered within 3 minutes of the bet being placed, where the Lakers, the way that they are playing defense on Curry, at least in Game 4, they were sending 2 at him, and then everything's just running through Curry. Just every single play for a stretch of that game was just Curry drawing Anthony Davis's man into a screen and then going from there and then just whipping assists around. He had 14 total in Game 4. And he had 19 potential assists. He also had 12 in Game 2 in 30 minutes. Now, he's had 3 in the other 2 games. So that's why I like the alternates as opposed to just backing over 6.5 assists. And I think the thing here is that Curry, his alternates are being priced the same way as just like any random player who's set at 6.5 over under assists. And Curry, just with his usage, which was above 34% last game and just a big increase over his 29% usage in the regular season, and just the way that they are attacking on offense and the Lakers have been guarding them, just means there's a ton of variance where he has scope to get 10, 12 assists. Curry to get 12 assists is 11-1. He's done it 2 of the 4 games so far. To get 10 plus is plus 450. I like that as well. And look, the Lakers, they might just play a different defense. They might not send 2 at him. They might just switch Davis onto him like they were at the end of the game, and then the bet is just done. But there is a good chance that it's just the same thing again, at which point you're riding the variance, you're riding the upside. I think that Curry is going to have to do it all again because Jordan Poole is not on planet Earth at the moment. So I think that everything is just going to have to go through Curry. I'm not sure they want him shooting 30 times again. And also, he had 14 assists last game and they couldn't make a shot. So he really could have had more assists. So I think that is the play. What do you think?
I love it. Great breakdown. Agree with you wholeheartedly. The only thing I think you're going to have to be sweating is that the Golden State Warriors might be up 30 going into the fourth quarter, and he may have to get his 10 plus in 3 quarters. That's I think the Warriors are the bet tonight. I think the Lakers are the bet in Game 6, and I think under 226 has a little bit of legs here, as we have a Lakers team that I don't really know how they're going to find their offense in this spot, but we shall see.
Yep. Agreed. It certainly feels like Warriors by 25. At the same time, though, you never know when these dynasties, when they fall. I remember was it Lakers Mavs in 2011, where everyone just expected the Lakers to come out Game 3, Game 4, and then they just lost the plot. And look, I think this Warriors team is a bit more resilience and fortitude than that Lakers team at that point of their era. So I don't think it's going to go down like that. And you would just expect that the Lakers, I mean, they're a team that is not afraid to take their foot off the gas in a not must-win situation. We saw that in the Memphis series in Games 2 and Games 5, and we saw that in the Golden State series in Game 2. So I would expect that this is going to be a Warriors blowout. Line's already, it's pushing towards 7.5 some spots. So that's certainly the feeling, but that was the feeling about the Celtics last night too. So,
I'm not quitting on the Celtics, by the way. We're coming back for that. We're coming back for them in Game 6, and ultimately, I think the Game 7 is a coin flip. And I just wanted Game 7 so we could play the under. Please, is that too much to ask?
Yeah, certainly feels like it's trending that way. All right, don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you with your wagers. Thanks to those watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel. Thanks again to Brad Thomas for joining us. From Jay Croucher and Drew Dinsick. We'll be back tomorrow.